How are we doing today, folks? It's a lovely spring day to be about up to about an inch or two in the water as a result of the recent snow melt and stuff. And the reason I'm out and about today is because there's a wonderful spring plant, the first one actually to get blooming. It's just started out, and that is of course this magnificent character right here, and that is of course Symplocarpus foetidus. AKA the wonderful skunk cabbage. It's an incredible plant for a couple of reasons. So as I mentioned, it's for one of the first plants to start blooming up in the spring. So that's a wonderful sign to see, just letting you know that things are warming up and that the seasons are shifting. But what's really cool about skunk cabbage in particular is that you'll note that it's blooming right now despite the fact that in some cases it's actually covered in goddamn ice. And the reason skunk cabbage is capable of handling that kind of rough habitat, that kind of rough weather situation, is because skunk cabbage is what you call a thermogenic plant. Okay, and to understand what that means, we're going to look at the anatomy of the skunk cabbage and the Araceae family entirely, as a matter of fact. So the way the flowers work in the Araceae is you've got the spathe, which is this outer, this dark, like reddish green colored, and that's a modified leaf, and that is what surrounds the actual reproductive parts of the plant, which is this little like soccer ball looking thing, which is known as the spadix, and that's where the actual pollen and the styles are. So what'll happen is that the pollinators, they'll crawl in through a little slit which forms and opens up as these plants begin their development. You can see right there kind of that little seam almost. Hang on, let me rotate that. Yeah, there you go. So you can see that'll open up into a wider slit to allow pollinators to get access to the spadix, and then they'll get pollen on them, and that'll allow this plant to set seed and reproduce. But what's so cool about the spathe in the skunk cabbage is that it undergoes a chemical reaction which actually allows it to produce its own heat and makes it capable of actually melting snow. Like, they've done research papers on this, and it can raise it, oh man, I think it's an absolutely incredible thing. It's like, I think like 20 or something degrees above ambient air temperature, or maybe more impressive than that. I'm gonna have to put a research paper down in the link. But an absolutely incredible plant. You know, it's very, very ubiquitous. It's very, very common in the wetlands. And that brings me to part 2 of why I'm making this video, which is just kind of a PSA. Because right now in Indiana, there's a bill going through the State House, that's SB 389, and what that bill does is it repeals all protections, at the state level at least, on wetlands. And that bill is co-authored by 3 individuals, all of whom have major campaign contributions coming from industries such as real estate and construction. So, you know, it's just a naked push for development at the expense of what is, you know, an absolutely incredibly valuable and unique ecosystem. And the value of wetlands, you can measure it in any number of ways. Me personally, I like to say it's immeasurable, but, you know, if you want to try to quantify it, you can do that by looking at their functionality as carbon stores, because of the massive amount of plant biodiversity you get in wetlands and all that photosynthesis. They take in a ton of carbon, and then the plants release it into the soil and store it there. So wetlands act as naturally occurring carbon stores, which is, you know, something that might be more important to keep protected, especially in an era where climate change is becoming increasingly relevant to the conversation. Let's get a look at some more of that skunk cabbage. As you can see right there under the ice, getting ready to bloom without a problem. It's an absolutely incredible plant, and it's one of many absolutely incredible plants that are unique to the wetlands, because they are, of course, as I mentioned, incredibly biodiverse. So, you know, that is just to say, hey, I feel like maybe you should call your reps and let them know that they ought to oppose SB 389 on the grounds of how incredible wetlands are as an ecological community, and the fact that they deserve our awe and appreciation as they're home for such incredible plants as the marvelous thermogenic skunk cabbage. I mean, come on, you gotta protect this incredible place because it's, well, I mean, it's very unique. You get like your quaking bogs as a type of wetland, and you get all kinds of endangered and rare species throughout the different categories. So basically, I'm yammering on a bit, but just to say, hey, maybe call your reps and let them know they ought to oppose SB 389. Yeah, so I'll just get off my soapbox then. I hope you enjoyed the information about the skunk cabbage at least. Sorry I had to get a little bit political, but nonetheless, I hope you have a good day and stay safe and all that. All right.